Oh, man. This is going to be quite the show, guys. These immediate post-game shows are going to be a little off the hinges. Emotions flowing. Obviously, the chat get going. Let your emotions out, Raider Nation. That's what we are. We're passionate fans. Raiders fans, members of Raider Nation. That's what we are. That's what we do. That's why we are the fan base that we are. It's because we're passionate. Obviously, we're going to get off the rails and we're going to complain. We're going to critique. We're going to get nuts. We're going to get mad. We're going to get pissed. We're going to say things that we are going to regret even 10 minutes later. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm mad. I'm frustrated because for the second week in a row, I feel like we're putting ourselves in a position where, like these turnovers, right? To win the game for the Las Vegas Raiders, you have to win the turnover battle. And the defense isn't going to produce turnovers, right? We're not like a ball hawking team. We're not a team that's going to make a huge difference on defense. So we got to be able to control the ball on offense. Obviously, everyone, the car debate is going to be in full swing this week. Absolutely in full swing. I think he played well. Absolutely. I think he needs to work on holding the ball in the pocket. Absolutely. And that's okay. You know, there's improvements everywhere. I'm sure Darren Waller wants that fumble back. I'm sure there's some penalties that we want back. But there's some improvements there. So the car debate's going to be all over the board, but I feel like he was, playing well, playing to the scheme. It was weird that Josh Jacobs wasn't featured as much as I thought he could be, playing one of the worst run defenses in the league. Man, I feel like number 28 should have been getting the ball more. I feel like that would have been taking a lot more pressure off our offensive line. I feel like our offensive line could have got back to a little bit of normalcy, getting Sam Young back. Man, shout out to the chat. The chat's going to be wild tonight. Absolutely. Welcome, Raider Nation. Welcome, Bills Mafia. I'm sure you guys will be in here a little bit. But, man, speechless. Another one of those games where you kind of black out. We are, shout out to the chat. Ooh, I'm losing the comment here. Robert Serda. We are our own worst enemy. Absolutely agree. This is crazy. Carr did not play good. Stop telling yourself lies. Interesting. Josh Jacobs got shut down. Man. Gruden runs the ball on 4th and 1. Shout out to the chat. Like I said, we're emotional. We're passionate. Let the feelings out. I have my opinion. It's not always perfect. Clearly, right? John Brown, the Bills' best wide receiver, played okay today. Not too bad. So, let's get into this thing. Josh Jacobs not being the priority of offense was weird to me. I feel like getting into this game knowing that. Now, I feel like it's weird. This is the second week in a row, now hear me out, is I feel like John Gruden is going into these games hearing the press buzz. Like last week. We went into last week hearing, Belichick's going to eliminate Waller. He's probably going to eliminate Jacobs too. He's going to take away your two best options. But he's for sure going to take away Waller. He made some good comments like, that's the best talent we've seen in a long time. Okay, everyone's like, he's going to take away Waller. I feel like the game plan last week, we didn't even care to even look Waller's way hardly. Really. We really did not look to care Waller's way. Felt like most of the time he's a decoy. A lot of the times that he was open, there was other wide receivers open. So now going into this week, we're thinking like, the Bills' run defense is, kind of subpar. They're going to really focus on that. They got to focus on Jacobs. They got to focus on this. And I feel like the Raiders were thinking like, we're going to sneak attack them. We're not going to attack them with Jacobs, and we're going to go through the air. Because I would like to see the numbers at the end of the day, but I feel like we've thrown more on first down this week than we have any other week. It's not just Gruden. A lot of mad faces in the chat. I don't like angry faces, guys. Turn that frown upside down. On a good note, I had some really good barbecue before the game started. Cooked a tri-tip. Some good vegetables. Some zucchini for the wife. Some potato wedges. Pretty good. Think of it as on a positive. We're 2-2. But next week we got a really tough matchup, right? Darren Waller had a little bit of a comeback, I would say, this week. He got that roll back where he was a little bit of a go-to. He was able to get out there, make some big plays, make some catches, break some tackles, pick up some first downs. But the offensive line is something that's a little concerning to me. Critique. Mean 519 wants me to critique. We're working on that. Okay, I like that. Benjamin 500 SI. I'm kind of with that right now, right? The offensive line was getting bullied a little bit this week again. I felt a little bit better about it getting Sam Young back in replace of Denzel Good playing right tackle. So Sam Young comes in, he steps in at right tackle. We're able to kind of shift the offensive line back around into their natural positions. And they're just getting bullied, really, in the run game. And like the few times I feel like we're trying not to run it that much. I feel like we're trying to go, quality over quantity this week for the first time in a while, and it didn't work. Shout out to the super chat. We got Edgar V in here. It's both sides of the ball said and done. No, you know what? And Edgar, you make a great point, honestly. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. All super chats, obviously, any super chat question I'm going to answer 100% of the time, hopefully. But it's the ultimate team sport. And as a football team, you can sit here and try and point fingers. Obviously, the easiest to point a finger at, you try and point it at Derek Carr, right? He's the quarterback. He's going to get the most scrutiny. You're going to look at that fumble, and you're going to say, oh, it was Derek Carr's fault. We're already down. And I feel like, there was points where even early in the game, taking away that deep touchdown pass to Nelson Aguilar, everyone's going to forget about that. That was an amazing play. Let's wipe that off the stat sheet just because of an illegal formation. Chinsey play. Kind of stupid in my opinion. So, that's just my opinion anyways. But seeing things like that, it's frustrating. Seeing there was 2 plays, 2 throws that were just, man, this is what's crazy. It's a game of inches because you look at there's a Zay Jones reception and a Darren Waller reception that were maybe about this far off from being completed. About that far off, right there. It's not much. Some of your girlfriends might think that's a lot, but it's not much. Sorry, no jokes here. No jokes. It's uncalled for. But if we had those plays, if we had connected on those plays, those are game-changing plays. Deep passes. Momentum-shifting plays. Those are things that we want back. So I completely agree. Offense and defense's fault. Ultimate team sport, and the Raiders as a whole need to get that thing figured out. Case C. Comments. We have no depth at defensive back. Also, don't air it out even when we're losing. I can agree with that. It seems like my friend Matt Fallon here says that the best is Gruden gets in that phase of he plays to not lose. He gets conservative. And it's almost like he wants to keep it a close game, but he doesn't want to absolutely just like go after it as soon as we're down in the game. And I don't quite understand that because as soon as our offense gets into that 2-minute offense, as soon as we get into a phase where we want to start throwing things down the field, it seems like we start making some plays. Chat's going wild, guys. Jose Lopez, shout out. Appreciate you guys. Case, appreciate the donation. Jose, appreciate the donation. We suck. The Chiefs are going to eat us alive. Any given Sunday. That's all I have to say. I'm never one. Look, right now, obviously, we're post game after 2 losses. Doesn't feel good. Think after the 2 first wins when we're 2-0, things were different. Any given Sunday. As a Raider fan, I don't care where we sit. I've never woken up on game day thinking we could lose. I always expect a chance for us to win. So that's where I sit, Jose. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate the donation, Vince Morales. The offense was hot and cold at times. O-line is suspect. Defensive scheme needs a change. # Raider Nation. Raider Nation for life, brother. Appreciate that. That was a pretty good assessment. A weird topic for me, I guess, to bring up is Paul Gunther in the box. Weird. I wonder if things are changing a little bit for the defensive side of the ball. I wonder if play calls are changing. I wonder if Marinelli's getting a little bit more involved. Obviously, what he's doing, though, isn't enough. But I like that assessment. I think defensive scheme does need to change. There was times where I think the corners looked lost. I think there was a lot of times actually where the secondary looked lost. It's almost weird. Even LaMarcus Joyner, a guy that's been in the system like to be the dude, like he was brought in and groomed to be the nickel cornerback for Paul Guenther. And John Gruden's even said it multiple times, like the nickel corner in Paul Guenther's scheme needs to be like the leading, could be the leading tackler on the team. And he's looking lost. Meek Robertson gets put into that, and what happens? What happens? Looks like the chat's getting spammed a little bit. That's why we got moderators, folks. Shout out to everybody that's listening to the post-produced podcast. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review. Hopefully this show is a little bit more productive than what we're seeing on the field these last couple weeks. Where was the 4th overall pick? I'm not going to call it individual players. I know there's a lot of pressure, obviously, on Clelin Ferrell, and pretty soon we're going to be bringing in my guy here, Kenny King Jr. But I would say, obviously, you're looking for more out of your number 4 overall pick, Clelin Ferrell. I don't know what your name is, D the Sun. Thanks, I appreciate the donation. I can't really read your username, but I'm more disappointed in the defensive line production. I want to see more pressure on the quarterback. It was cool to see Mo Hurst kind of getting some pressure up in there, Arden Key getting some pressure up in there, getting a little angry. I'm really disappointed in Malik Collins. I haven't heard his name called at all. And had he not signed with us in the offseason, had he not been talked about so much in press conferences, I wouldn't even be sure that Malik Collins is even on our football team. I guess I'm going to call it some players. I lied. I would be sure that Malik Collins is even on our football team right now. And he was supposed to be, right? What was the words of John Gruden? Our defense is going to only go as far as Malik Collins takes us, is what John Gruden says. Rich D says, this is what happens when you draft people who love football super early. Hey, man, it happens. I understand what you're saying. I know you're looking for talent, and you're trying to flip the coin. But in my opinion, I guess it's kind of a safer bet, right? You're rolling the dice, and I know what you're saying. But in the same breath, you got to look at the Raiders, and we needed a culture change more than we needed anything. Yes, you could use more talent. Yes, you could use more improvement talent-wise, but we needed a culture change. We needed a locker room change. We needed guys that were going to be high character and bring in young guys and let this youth take over the football team. Shout out to Kyler Pittman. I appreciate the donation. Didn't see a comment to it, but I appreciate the donation. One of those games where I blacked out a little bit. I have 2 comments here on the offense. Jason Witten sure surprised me. It's weird. It's so weird seeing Jason Witten catching touchdowns for the silver and black. And I will say one thing. Alec Ingold is a real weapon for this offense. Alec Ingold, number 45, the fullback, is a real weapon for this offense. Now we just got to find ways to use him. Him and Josh Jacobs. John Gruden, this is your time. You have the recipe. You got your ingredients to your stew, or whatever you call it, with Ingold and Jacobs. Find ways to use them. Ingold is hurdling guys. He's hurdling guys 1 week, and then he's lowering his shoulders, and he's going like waist level into linebackers and DBs picking up yards on the sideline the week later. Ultimate recipe. Josh Jacobs a little banged up, but he's still out there, in my opinion, playing 90%, still playing well, but not getting the workload that he deserves. We got to be more creative to get number 28 the football. That's all I have to say. I don't have any more comments. Me and Kenny King are going to be looking for some comments here in the chat. We'll take a little Q&A. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to give my guy, Kenny King, a call. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more. So, see if I can set this up right. I'm a little discombobulated. So hopefully we can run this stream right and get everything going. So give me a quick break, and we'll be right back with my guy, Kenny King Jr.
when you accumulate all of that together, it is not a recipe for success. And that's why the Raiders lost the game. It wasn't because of one player. It wasn't because, it wasn't because of Carr. It wasn't because of, one person on the defense. It wasn't because of, anything. It was because of a whole cumulative effort. The offensive line didn't block as well as they have been. Missing Trent Brown is quite prevalent at this point. Missing Richie Incognito is quite prevalent at this point. Denzel Good, he played well at times, but you can't replicate Trent and Richie. You have these guys on the line for a reason. These guys are starters for a reason. And obviously, Richie's out on IR. Trent is, I don't know. But it's starting to get frustrating at this point.
I agree. See, chat, I told you guys that I was going to be a little discombobulated. I muted myself there for a second. I'm so... Another game where just kind of, you black out during a Kenny King. You don't even know. It's crazy. I'm in, both of us actually, we're at stage door week 2 for the Saints game. And I feel like I've never been more distracted during a football game in my life. And I think I could come away with more from that than I did sitting on my couch watching this entire football game. It's almost unreal seeing the chances, the points, the things that we just left on the field. I don't see how, and again, I'm not trying to put blame on anybody. And there's one comment I want to address here, and that's everybody, going at Eric Harris. And you know what? I get it. I get it. He's not, some Pro Bowl safety. I get it. He's not perfect. I get it. Did he sign himself up to be the starting safety? No, he's out there just doing his best. I think at that point you don't blame and drag Eric Harris. I think you blame and drag a reason that this football team didn't put someone else on the field, right? I think that's where you look at in the secondary and you see these holes. You don't blame the players. I think they're doing everything that they can. I think they're trying their best, but goodness gracious, I just feel like is it the personnel? Is it the scheme? Is Paul Guenther not putting these guys and playing them to their strengths? Is it Eric Harris, or is Paul Guenther just not catering to what Eric Harris is better at? Or Jonathan Abram not catering to what he's better at? It was nice to see, side note, Jonathan Abram being a little bit more of a kind of do-it-all guy, right?
Yeah. I think that, the biggest thing is you have to look at the past 3 years. And defensively, the past 3 years, this defense has not been good. Each year, the Raiders are putting pieces in place to build this defense. The Raiders have spent a lot of time and money on this defense throughout the draft, through free agency. And they're putting players that should be making plays. You have a guy like Corey Littleton, who was an absolute stud in Los Angeles. You have a guy like Malik Collins, who was supposed to come in and be the leader on this defensive line. He's wearing a C on his chest. You've got Eric Harris, who's a grinder, and he's obviously a guy who's probably not a projected starter on 31 NFL football teams, but he got the job right now because of the work that he does and also because of default. But you have to look at where the biggest denominator is, and the biggest denominator is at the top. You have to look at coaching. When we look at this team, when we look at the defense and we look at the schemes and we're watching the game, I've heard on 2 accounts now, not only, just myself talking, but I heard Adam Archuleta say on TV and I heard Lincoln Kennedy say on the radio, this defense does not know what they're doing. They look confused out there. If your defense looks confused out there, that is a product of coaching, and we have to start pointing the finger back at Paul Guenther.
Yeah, no, that and that's the thing. They don't even look like they're in position to make a play, and that's what's frustrating. Whenever I see a 3rd and 7 and the defensive backs, I took a screenshot earlier of I believe it was a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8, and the defensive backs are like a yard behind the first down marker. Why are we doing that? Why are we giving the offense a chance to run whatever route they want to? It's like saying, here you go. Do whatever you guys want, and hopefully we can guess it right, and our defensive backs can jump on the ball. That's basically what they're saying. You're not there to disrupt their route. You're not there to disrupt their play. You have a whole 2 seconds to run the correct play, and I don't know why we're gambling like that. This soft zone defense, this soft zone putting Trayvon Mullen way back. No, he is per PFF. What was he? The second best or best press coverage corner in the first 3 weeks. Okay, let's line him up 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. What's that gonna freaking do? Stephon Diggs, a guy that I didn't even know existed 4 days ago. That's a whole nother topic. But a guy that is a pristine route runner. I talked to a Bills podcast on Tuesday night. And that was one thing I've always loved about Diggs is he's a very pristine route runner. And I told them the only way we're going to stop him, and especially John Brown, is if we get in their face and we stuff them. We throw them off their ways. They're good when they're not touched. Their footwork, they're crafty, they're great. They're not a physical wide receiver. So what do we let them do today? We let them be great and not physical and crafty in the open field. And we paid for it. We absolutely paid for it. And John Brown, the Bills' best wide receiver, actually went out there and this is I'm sorry, I had to get this off my chest. Anyways, what are your thoughts on how our defensive backs and the defense overall under Paul Guenther is playing?
Well, first and foremost, Cody, the reason why we lost this game, the reason why the Raiders lost this game is because you had a trash take and you didn't know who Stephon Diggs was and you thought that John Brown was their number one receiver. So you, as a fan,
it's my fault.
You're the reason why we lost this game. That's first and foremost. I mean, let's put it on you. Let's put it all on you because obviously you're out there coaching, you're out there playing, you're out there doing all the things.
My fault.
And to the chat, if you're listening, it's Cody's fault. Blame Cody. You can add him at Raider Cody. It's all his fault. He loves the Heat. So
wait, what? No, hold on. While you're talking about me, real quick, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get on this real quick. I'm like not even. I'm so close to 10,000 subscribers. I get it, we lost, but let's make something positive out of this, Raider Nation. Can you get me over 10K? Like we're right there. If you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, and if you're subscribing to mine, take some time out of your day while you're at it. Search Kenny King Jr. on YouTube. Subscribe to his because he's dropping some fire content too. And okay, go ahead. We'll talk about you more in a little bit. Go ahead.
We'll talk about me more in a little bit. But I think that, we talk about the DBs, and obviously, the DB play and the soft zone coverage is frustrating. But let's focus on the bright pink elephant in the room and the defensive line and what they are not doing. And they're not creating pressure. And when the defensive line doesn't create pressure, and I can tell you this from experience because I played defensive line at a very high level. I didn't play in the NFL, but I played in college. I played at D1. So I know a thing or two about defensive line. And the defensive line is not getting pressure. Your linebackers are going to suffer, and your safeties and your DBs are going to suffer. If you are not getting pressure, the quarterback has time to throw the ball, wide receivers have time to get open, running backs have time to get open, and they can do whatever they want to do. And that's what Josh Allen was out there doing, was just moving the ball at will, doing whatever he wanted to do. Yes, our coverage may not have been up to par. However, if you have the defensive line getting after it, you can actually shut down some passes. We look at last year. You look at the team last year with a defensive line under Brenton Buckner. We had a young defensive line. We had almost the same guys out there, but they were getting more pressure. They were getting more sacks. They were getting to the quarterback more, and it also helped our defense. And our defense was still not great last year, but they were able to stop the run. They were able to stop the pass sometimes. Now we're not even stopping it all the time. Now we're basically out there just letting them catch and do whatever they want, and then late in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes left, then the defense wants to make a stop.
Yeah. The ultimate team sport, right, Kenny King?
It is the ultimate. I mean, look, you don't block on offense, you can't run the ball. You can't pass the ball, you can't get the ball to receivers. If you don't rush the passer on defense, you can't tackle. I mean, our tackling was atrocious once again. Our pass rush was horrible. Our blitzing at times looked like it was blitzing just to call a blitz. I mean, I saw one where Abram was 8 yards back coming from a blitz. He didn't even step up to make the play. Those are the things that are frustrating. Now, there were some bright spots. I think that Joyner played pretty well today in some situations. Trayvon Mullen played well. Mm-hmm. Mo Hurst had his moments. Jonathan Hankins had his moments. But there were Abram had his moments. But there's so many miscues. There's so many missteps where it's hard to say, oh, this player had a good game. This player had a good game. This player, did their job. I mean, Derek Carr had 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he played a good game on paper, but it didn't translate into the game because there were key drops, there were key penalties, and there were a lot of miscues where
just like last week.
Right. And then also, I mean, the other thing that pisses me off about this game is why are we not going for it in some of these situations? Why are we taking 3 points?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's there. We took the safe route, and I was okay with the 3 at first. But whenever Derek's wheeling and dealing, I would have been all for them going forward on 4th down. You know, I mean, I could have gone either way, but I mean, why not play to win? And I feel like that's where we're losing that mentality. I feel like you kick that field goal, Kenny King, if you have confidence in the defense to go make another stop.
Right. I look at it like this: when Derek is playing aggressively, and he's out there throwing the ball and you know, taking deep shots and taking chances and running the ball, that's when you go for it. I think that when you're not moving the football and you're having a hard time getting first downs and whatnot, that's when you kick it. That's when you say, you know what, let's just take the easy points. Let's get 3 and let's, you know, let our defense do something. But when you're out there and you're moving the football effectively, have faith in your quarterback, John Gruden. Have faith in your quarterback that your offense is going to go in there and they're going to get the first down. They're going to score. Because I think that had we gone for it, here's the other thing. And I'm all over the place because I'm frustrated, but here's the other thing. You go for it on the 4th and 1 where it doesn't make sense out of the shotgun and you run it, but you don't go for it in the red zone.
Yeah. What was up with that run, that draw play or whatever that was to Jacobs right there? And I get it, but that's what's weird. I talked about this earlier. Is I felt like I don't know if like Gruden kind of like bit into the hype or tried to overthink things and know that the Bills were a little susceptible to the run. And you try to like maybe sneak attack it on them instead of we got away from everything that I felt like was winning us the game before, and that was, you know, putting them in a power formation and running it down their throats. You know, and we're not getting creative, and then we just expect out of nowhere on a 4th and 2, like we're gonna just like have a cute little handoff out of shotgun and expect to pick it up on 4th down. I don't understand the thing. Spread them out wide. Go 5 wide. Go 5 wide and pick them apart. I mean, there was, and this is one thing that I was really happy with, in a bright spot in this dark time, and that's our wide receiver depth. And a lot of people, you know, myself as co-president of the Car Stand Club. I like to be co-president because I'm going to make you my co-president just for fun. I did not have any excuses for him going into this week because he had Zay Jones, Nelson Aguilar, and Hunter Renfrow. Those 3 wide receivers, in my opinion, were going to be just fine. And they came into this week playing freaking great. And yeah. I love the rookies and what they're bringing. And I feel like we're missing Henry Ruggs. But I don't feel like we lose much of a beat with Nelson Aguilar, who, one, has some sneaky separation. Zay Jones, who has a lot to prove, and Hunter Renfrow, who is, no matter who's on the field, our go-to receiver besides Darren Waller. So, Kenny King, talk about our weapons, even though we're banged up at wide receiver. How do you feel about our wide receiver depth?
You know, offensively, looking at the receivers today, I think Zay Jones played great. I think Nelson Aguilar had a really good game. I think Darren Waller, you know, he got involved and he got, you know, he had a few. I mean, he had the drop, he had the fumble, but Darren Waller was on point for most of the game. Jason Witten was sneaky good. I would have liked to see more Foster Moreau. I still want to see more Foster Moreau, and I want to see more of Alec Ingold. I think that those are 2 guys that are heavily underutilized. I think that when you have Brian Edwards and Henry Ruggs back, that obviously adds a lot more to the depth. When you have your number 1 and 2 receivers out, it does give you a little bit of a change on the offensive play calling. But, you know, you look at what we were able to do, and we were able to move the ball. We were able to get the ball to the open receivers. They were able to get separation. Hunter was able to go up there and grab some great catches. Nelson was able to grab a nice touchdown. You know, Witten was able to make some plays. So we've got playmakers on offense. I don't think that that's the problem. I think that, 1, I think play calling needs to be more aggressive. And 2, you know, we need to continue to work with what works. I saw that, you know, later in the game, Josh Jacobs started breaking some big runs. And I even tweeted this out. I said, Josh is going to break a big one soon. And I get it, we're down, but you can't abandon what's working. You know, those are some things that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Kenny King Jr., this was, man, we had, like I said, we had that wake-up call. And now we're sitting at a point to where do we go from here? We're facing, in Week 5, a Kansas City Chiefs team that's coming on just a little bit shorter week than usual, right? They ended up getting officially scheduled for Monday Night Football. So we'll see what they're made of tomorrow night against the Patriots that we just played without Cam Newton now. What do we do, Kenny King? Is there still light at the end of the tunnel? Do we see this Kansas City game as a, if we win, awesome, and if we don't, there's still hope? Or what's your outlook now at this point? Because like I said, I like to see the season as a quarter at a time. Well, we're a quarter in and we're 50-50, I'd say. So where do you sit on it? Glass half full, glass half empty?
The glass is just halfway there. I don't think it's half full or half empty. I think that there's a lot of things offensively that need work. There's a lot of things defensively that need work. But we look at this team and we look at what they can do. And I think that if we go into KC and we beat KC, they're coming off a short week. Hopefully some guys get healthy. When we go into KC, we have almost a full squad. Hopefully we get Trent Brown back. Hopefully we get Henry Ruggs back. Hopefully the defense, has gotten it together. And we win. That's a game that we can go into the bye week and be a little confident on. And that's a game that we can, go in and say, okay, we're 3-2 going into bye week. We're feeling good about ourselves. I think if we go in and we lose to KC, then going into the bye week, you have to regroup. And some changes need to be made. I think that, you need to look at some changes defensively. If John Gruden views this as a playoff team, if Mike Mayock views this as a playoff team, and they don't think that defensively Paul Guenther is the way to go, that is the time that you make the change. But really, it's going to come down to what happens against KC. Is KC a winnable game? Potentially. I'm not going to say, this is a game that we can easily go in and win. I'm not going to say this is a game that we can go in and dominate, because it's not. This is a game that it could potentially be winnable if the chips fall in the right places. But this is not a game that the Raiders can take lightly. This is not a game that the Raiders can go in and be overhyped for. But this is also a game that they cannot go in and they cannot act fearful and not take the shots necessary that they need to win the game.
I completely agree. Kenny King, I'm going to take a quick moment. Appreciate your thoughts, brother. For one, I'd like to extend again for the second or third week in a row that your audio quality is amazing. And your audio quality, I would say right now, is because you're kind of getting into my shoes where I'm super overcritical about it, because you are now producing your own podcast, bro. Your own podcast. And for those that are listening, I didn't put it in the YouTube channel because I'm going to save it for the post-produced podcast. So if you're listening to this in podcast version, my guy Kenny King Jr. here is now hosting and producing some great guests. Still, I would say Raiders based, but getting out of the realm a little bit. My guy KK here likes to get a little bit more into pop culture, outside of football, bigger than football things, and it's amazing. So there's going to be a link in the description of the podcast. Make sure you subscribe. It's called The Training Table. If you're watching this on YouTube, The Training Table on your favorite podcast platform. Newest member, and as if we weren't family enough already, brother, Blue Wire family members now, bro. Congrats, man. How amped up are you for your own show?
I'm excited, man. It's been a long time coming. We've obviously done a few Real Talk episodes on your platform. But to launch my own podcast and to get it out there, it's exciting. It's a lot of work, and I definitely have a lot more respect for the work that you do on the production level, because I learned with the first episode, there's a lot to post produce, and I was doing it for about 2 hours, and I've been able to whittle that down and get a little bit better with it. And it's fun. It's a fun experience. It's fun getting out there grinding, and having something to call my own. So it's nice to do that. It's great to be part of the Blue Wire Network. There's a ton of amazing creators out there that I'm really excited to work with, and so I'm fired up about where this is going to go.
Good stuff, Kenny King Jr. Appreciate you joining me. We're going to take a quick break now, provided by my bookie. And when we come back, joining me is going to be our guy, Eddie Borsili. But Kenny, my guy, I guess we'll talk in a little less than a week, right?
I mean, we'll probably talk after this YouTube.
Talk to you later.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have you on my podcast. Who knows?
Hey! So, a little secret there, dropping out little nuggets there for the next podcast. Make sure you subscribe, then you can hear us talk our BS a little bit more on Kenny King's podcast.
Yeah.
Good stuff. My guy. We'll talk soon, man.
All right, brother.
All right, guys, and we are back. So like I said, this quick break is going to be provided by Blue Wire and MyBookie. Of course, whenever you go back and listen to your podcast version, you're going to be listening to a few Blue Wire ads. But right now, I'm going to be talking to you guys real quick. Losing my stuff here. Eddie Borsili, you still there?
I'm here, man.
You're there. Eddie Borsili, waiting in the back room, ready to go. This has been a rough game, guys. Absolute rough game. I'm not really sure where I sit on the entire thing. Eddie, bring us into this. You might drop out real quick, but where do you where do you sit right now on the 2-2 Las Vegas Raiders?
It's just frustrating, man. You know that you can see that the talent is there for this football team. 2 wins early, jumping out to 2-0, and for the most part, you know, more of this game than the Patriot game. They've been in all 4 games this season. It's just if your defense doesn't give you a chance to compete, you're not going to be able to compete against good football teams in the National Football League. And the Raiders' defense is bringing nothing to the table so far the first 4 weeks of the season. There's no playmakers. Nobody's making a difference. Guys look confused out there. There's no way you can win football games in the National Football League if your defense gives up 30-plus points a game. It's just not happening. You can't expect the offense to go out there and score 35-plus a game. It's just not realistic.
No, I agree, and it's I think the key word for this is ultimate team sport. And let's see here. The key word is ultimate team sport, and there's not really anything on all aspects. I feel like the passing game is able to get going whenever we want it to, but we're not able to mix it enough with Josh Jacobs to have a lethal running offense. And there's times of the defense where, like last week we come out like stuffing them, and we're doing great, and we're looking like a pretty good defense, and then we lose it. And then this week we come out just floodgates open. We decide to make a couple random stops, and we can't get on cue. And then there's turnovers, and then there's the refs that for whatever reason are still just against us. I can't find in these last 2 weeks one real good positive that we can take away. There's not one good position group. The pre-snap penalties are not on our side. The turnovers are not on our side. There's really nothing for me, Eddie, to just be like, look, fix this one thing and we get it moving. But where do you sit with it?
Well, listen, and this is not taking anything away because Josh Allen from the Bills is an absolute stud. Like any throw in a football field. You saw some of the throws he made today, some of the catches by some of his receivers, high point the ball, Stephon Diggs, John Brown. This is not to take anything away from teams that we're playing because we played 4 good teams, 4 good offenses. But again, like you said, this team generates no pass rush whatsoever. They can't get there with 4 guys. They can't get there when it's a coverage sack. They let the quarterback escape out of the pocket. They had one today when Josh Allen turned back into 2019 Josh Allen and just kind of ran into the defense. But other than that, there is no consistent pass rush in this league. You're not going to win football games if you can't get to the quarterback. They cannot get near the quarterback. Josh Allen was sitting back there all day long, all day to throw, and made plays. Any quarterback in this league, besides the ones playing like Josh Allen, who's playing out of his mind right now, if you give them that time, they're going to pick you apart. Patrick Mahomes, if you give him time, will destroy this team next week. They will put 50 points up against this defense next week. You need guys. There is nobody on this defense making any plays. There's no out there. There's nobody playing with their hair on fire. You had one play by Jonathan Abrams today when you saw him come up, and you see what type of player he can be. but that's not there consistently. That's not there consistency from Max Crosby, not from Corey Littleton. Like you said, not one player in this position, not one position group is making a difference right now. Nobody. And it starts with the pass rush, because the pass rush makes everything else better. And these guys can't get to the quarterback. And it's really, really troubling at this point in the season so early.
Yeah, you're right, because our secondary, for the most part, is even just being mediocre with no pass rush is kind of a win. Like they're there, but the production isn't all the way there just because they're not all the way meshing. It's frustrating. I'm not sure where it begins. I don't know if it begins with Paul Guenther just deciding to go sit up in the box instead of being on the field. I don't know what changes are going on right now with play calling on defense, but
I say too, but go to when the Raiders, made the playoffs. You take away Khalil Mack off that football team, and the defense is the same thing. It's just a bunch of guys running around that look completely lost out there. So I don't know. I mean, I tweeted today. It can't always be the coach. It can't always be the players. But for whatever reason, every year this team's defense trots out there, and every year this defense is not able to compete at NFL level. And I don't get it. Every guy they bring in at free agency doesn't work out. LaMarcus Joyner looks lost at times. Corey Littleton doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. I just don't understand it. The coaches change. The players change. The one thing that stays consistent is his defense can't get off the field. And it was really cool back in the day in the 70s and 80s when the Raider team can go out there and chuck it all around in the old AFL days, and the Raiders can go in these shootouts. It's just not happening. The offense has been hampered by injuries, by other things, and it's just not the case. You can't expect them to go out and win shootouts every day. So it was cool back in the day to go out there and give up 30 points a game. It's not cool anymore because they look like a disorganized group, and it starts with the defensive coordinator.
I understand, and your common theme here is pass rush, as it has been obviously for all of us last few years. One player I want to ask about that I haven't asked about in a few weeks because I'm waiting for him to heat up, but that's Max Crosby, and not just because I feel like his production's been kind of a little bit of a roller coaster this year. Of course, he had the 2 sacks last week, but he's also had 2 offsides penalties, one on special teams last week, one on a third down? Turned it from like a 3rd and 11, right, to a 3rd and 6. Of course, they converted that. Yep. How do you feel about 98 overall? Just because, like I said, not just because of his production, but then there's third downs that I'm seeing with him not on the field. I feel like 98, the player that we expect him to be is a player to be on the field 95% of the snaps, but there was a lot of times where I seen like Nassib and Arden Key out there with Cleveland Farrell moving inside. Why isn't 98 out there? And Eddie, what's your thoughts on him and what his progression this season?
Well, before we get to Max Crosby, too, let's call a spade here. Rod Marinelli was brought in because John Gruden loves Rod Marinelli. He's a well-established coach in this league. They get rid of Brentson Buckner. This defensive line has regressed. Okay, it's the same players from last year. You add a couple different pieces with Collins and those guys in Nassib, and the defensive line has progressed for whatever reason. Farrell looks like a non-factor in every single aspect wherever he goes. He's decent against the run. He doesn't even sniff the quarterback. Arden Key still plays like he has no idea who's getting the ball, what he's doing. He's just going out there and hitting. The reason why he's on the field and Carl Nassib is on the field, you could say that they're high motor guys. But again, Max Crosby's production is a little bit down, but he had such a good season last year. I think a little, unfair expectations are put on him. This guy's not a defense saver. We shouldn't base our entire defense around the production of Max Crosby. He should be a part of the defense. So he's the guy I'm least concerned about, defensive line. Malik Collins has been atrocious since he's come over from Dallas. He got banged up today. Like I said, Burrow's been literally a non-factor, and you cannot have that as the number 4 pick in the draft. I mean, Mo Hurst shows flashes on. I love Mo. Hankins was getting pushed around the run game. Bottom line is the whole defensive line as a group has regressed under a guy that you brought in that fired the coach last year where they showed strides and actually had sacks and production, and it's been atrocious. It's been bad in every sense of the word. So if you look at it as a whole, not just Max Crosby, you look at it as a whole as a unit, that whole unit is getting eaten alive. Every line that they've gone against has eaten that team up solid. There is no interior pass rush whatsoever. They get no push up the middle. So the outside guys are trying to do it on their own. Crosby gets there a couple times. But again, there's just absolutely no consistency whatsoever. None.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Eddie Berselia, I appreciate your opinion every time you call in. That's why you're the most honorary guest on this show. Coming in hot from the Stage Door Casino hotline. Drop in the comments right now where you guys are listening from, an area code, a city, a state, a country. I don't care. Drop where you're listening from, but I will tell you one thing. Whenever you guys do visit Las Vegas, whether it's a home game, an away game, whether you're allowed in the stands or you're not, make sure you guys visit Stage Door Casino because I'm dubbing it the unofficial Raider Bar, the unofficial bar for Raider Nation to go to. It's a cool little spot. You get set up. There's Raider jerseys everywhere. My guy John in there is amazing. The bar manager, Kendra, she's awesome. Absolutely, they just bleed silver and black, and they're all about Raiders fans coming in there, being loud, wearing your masks, doing what we do naturally at a tailgate, and that's what they bring to the table. So coming in hot on the Stage Door Casino hotline. Eddie, the same thing that I asked Kenny, and I want to know your opinion right now. We're sitting 2-2. We came off a really hot 2 weeks. Right? We had a close, kind of iffy win where you don't know where we sat week 1. We had a big time primetime win against the Saints, which was awesome. And then these last 2 weeks, we kind of had like a little blowout. Ugly loss last week and a game this week that I felt like we could have won, but we didn't. But we're 2-2. We're a 500 team, and we're on basically the hinges of where we sit on, I guess, technically after a quarter way through the season, I guess maybe sitting on the bubble of playoffs. A 500 team, right? That's where you sit throughout the season. So what's the outlook, I guess, for the final 12 games?
It's hard. It's hard to say right now. Like you said, you at this point, you are with the best. You are what your record says you are. So again, like you said, they're a 500 football team, but it keeps on coming back to the head coach. They brought this head coach back. They brought John Gruden back, much ballyhooed, gave him $100 million to be the guy. I don't see the biggest thing for me. I don't see that Chucky mindset. I don't see that guy that used to have that fire on the sidelines. And I understand it's a different climate, different sense, but play calling to me, John Gruden is managing this football team like they have a really good defense and they just want to go out there and put points on the board. The fourth downs where you don't go for a fourth. You saw the Buffalo Bills today. Fourth and 2 at the 50-yard line. There's not even a decision. The offense stays on the field. They go for the kill. You don't have that right now with this Raider football team. You don't have that identity as an offense where teams will be scared, to put their best players on the field. They're scared to what a John Gruden-led team is going to be. So that's what worries me the most. I think the defense will settle down as the season goes. They can't be as bad as they are now. Maybe they will next week versus the Chiefs, but statistically it's always going to come down. They're going to get settled in. If you think about it, this is really like the fourth preseason game if you want to really go there for guys that are younger players. But, they're playing at Kansas City, a house of horrors next week. You can't expect much there. And they got Tom Brady, who's doing Tom Brady things. So you could easily sit here and be looking at 2-4 after 6 weeks, and you dig yourself into a huge hole in this AFC when you have teams like the Browns and you have teams like the Steelers and the Ravens vying for these playoff spots. This team has to get hot. This team has to win a game. That's why they needed to play better today, smarter. Mm-hmm. And if you could beat a team like the Buffalo Bills, escape their 3-1, then you're really cooking. It always comes back to confidence with me. This team just doesn't show the confidence week in and week out that it can go out there and compete with the other teams in the AFC. It doesn't show to me on the field that these guys can go toe-to-toe with teams. So regardless of not, if I think this is a playoff team, if they get to that spot where they're vying for a playoff spot, what are they going to do? They're going to be a one-and-done football team, or are they going to just miss the playoffs because they don't have that killer instinct? They need their head coach to instill that killer instinct in them, to just go out there and just beat teams, score points, make a play on defense. They do it their way, but they need an identity. They need that Chucky mindset from their head coach that they haven't been getting so far this year.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna end you with one last question. It's gonna be a one-word answer I want here because it's been flooding the chat. Fire Paul Guenther. It's not gonna be yes or no. I want a yes or a not yet.
Yes.
That's where I sit too.
Go
ahead. I'll give you a couple more words. 4 words, no.
I'm just, we all got to vent here.
Yeah.
I say yes. And again, I'm not trying to call out anybody losing their job. I hate for people to lose their jobs, especially with the world that we live in. It sucks. Fine. But sometimes, and I go back to the Chiefs last year, firing the defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo takes over with exactly the same roster, and the defense kind of starts to click. They start to get an identity. You need, and Corey Littleton kind of said it this week with some of his comments, not calling out the coaching, but he's basically saying, I'm doing what the coaches tell me to do. So if you brought this high-priced free agent in that was supposed to fix the covering the tight ends and tackling, and he's such a good defender, and he's just a non-factor, something's got to give. So, yes, I want to fire Paul Gunther. If it's Rod Marinelli, you can't tell me why Rod Marinelli should get the job after the way the defensive line has, really gone through the past couple weeks. So I don't know if they just need a change. I think they might need it, but you can't do it this week going against the Chiefs. So maybe during the bye week. But, yeah, as we sit here right now, I just think the defense needs a new voice. I think they need something to try to shake things up a little bit, because otherwise this team's in for a long season if they can't stop anybody on defense.
That's exactly where I sit too, Eddie. Well explained. That's why I have you on here, because it's easier for you to just get on here and explain your thoughts, and I can just say, yeah, same. I second that.
I need the vent, man. I feel like as Raider fans, we're just in one long, evil cycle of this, watching the same defenses over and over every year on the field, and it's frustrating because you don't feel like they're turning the page. And with an offense that's going to put up points like they do, 25-plus points a game or close to it, you should be closer in these games. And watching the defense get shredded week in and week out, it's just demoralizing as fans.
I agree. Eddie Bersili, I appreciate you joining me. For those that are listening on YouTube or the podcast version, of course, make sure you subscribe to Eddie's podcast, Yards Per Attempt. And Eddie, for those that have the SiriusXM subscription, or for those you can persuade, what is something cool that you have going on over there? Obviously, you are the executive producer of SiriusXM's NFL radio station. What's something cool that you guys have going on over there for Raider Nation?
I mean, SiriusXM NFL radio for any. I mean, we have the exclusive rights to the NFL package. You can listen to your favorite team's broadcast week in, week out. I produce a show called The Sunday Drive on Sunday. It's basically the red zone on radio where you can hear live play-by-play and all that good stuff. We just got streaming rights too, so you don't have to have an active subscription to hear your favorite team's play-by-play. You can stream it on your phone. A lot of cool features on NFL radio, on SiriusXM NFL radio. Channel 88 on SiriusXM. Check it out. Subscribe. I need a raise. Go subscribe now.
Good stuff. Eddie Bersili, man. Thank you for joining me, man. And I'm sure, like you said, you're the honorary guest. So we'll talk soon, I'm sure, right?
Cody, always a pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, man. Raider Nation. Okay, so we're going to be taking some live callers here in a second. I'll put the number on the screen. Don't call till you see the number. Don't call twice. Of course, if you've already talked to me. But I do have a message for you guys. And even though it's slipping away from us, winning season still returns at MyBookie. Winning season means doubling your first deposit. Winning season means insane props, epic bonuses, and the craziest cross-sport wagers. At MyBookie, winning season means watching live sports and betting live sports all season long. So, guys, get ready. Obviously, NFL's back. We're in full swing. First quarter's done and over with. So, it's time to, get your own here. You got to get on the action. Use promo code RaiderCody and double your first deposit at MyBookie. New players get up to $1,000 in free play. This is designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. So bet with the best this NFL season for your chance to win big. And again, that's use promo code RaiderCody and double your first deposit at MyBookie.ag. Your winning season begins today only at MyBookie. So, we're going to take some callers here. See how we do. There's the number. Call it. I don't know what's going to happen. We're just rolling the dice here, folks. We are just rolling the dice. We're going to see how this works out. 2 losses. Obviously, frustrations and anger is at an all-time high. So we're going to start taking some callers here, and we're going to see where they end up. Obviously, there's a slight delay. So you'll be seeing this like 7 or 8 or 9 seconds later than whenever I'm saying it. So we'll see what callers come through. Come with a topic or question. And we have, let's see here, bringing in our first caller. State your name, where you're calling from. What's going on, caller number 1?
Hey, Cody. What's going on, man? This is Ash from San Jose, California.
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just very frustrated, man, over this loss, man.
Same.
And, man, I thought today, man, personally for me, I thought today, since both Ruggs and Edwards were going to be out, I thought the main key in it for us to winning this game was to get Josh Jacobs going. And he didn't really have a good game at all. I don't think he had a good game in general.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr, I've been very critical of Carr the last year or two, but so far these first 4 games, he's looked very underrated. 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Obviously, he's got to fix the fumbles.
I agree.
That play on when we were driving and down 2 scores, man, fumbling the ball there. But no, man, I was very impressed with Carr today, man. Especially with very little of a receiving core he had to deal with having Zay Jones and Nelson Aguilar to start on the outside, who I've been very impressed with by both, especially with Nelson Aguilar, man. I was very happy with the signing of Nelson Aguilar, mainly just for depth, but honestly, he's been very key for us, and that gets me a little bit excited. Hopefully we can get Ruggs and Edwards back soon. But yeah, man, I'm just calling in today, man, because I'm just so over Paul Guenther today, man. I'm just so over this guy, man. This defense, when you look at this defense and the players that we have on this defense, like a Corey Littleton, like a Nick Kwiatkowski, Jonathan Abram coming back, and he's looking like a Pro Bowl safety. In my opinion, I know this sounds too far stretched, but he looks like an all-pro safety. He looks like he's going to be a star safety for us for years to come, man. And then Trevon Mullen, I saw his grade on PFF. I think he has like a 93.8% or something like that, man. So we have the talent, obviously Max Crosby and Cleveland Farrell, Hurst as well. So we have the talent, man. But I feel like it's kind of the same situation with Ken Norton, where I feel like we're losing a lot of guys and we're not putting in players like, for example, Eric Harris. And I love Eric Harris. I love his story and whatnot, man. But I don't understand why we're not putting in Jeff Heath, in my opinion, man. It's just it's just a mess, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the ball. I think this defense is too talented to be where it has been again the last few years, which has just been a bottom 5 defense, man, and just staying on the field on 3rd down, man. Keeping Carr off the field and whatnot, Carr and the offense off the field, man. It's incredibly frustrating, man. But I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You had a little bit of a loaded call there, but there was a few things I want to hit on. First, shout out that I haven't. No, you're good. I like it. You hit on a lot of key points that I like. First off, I'd say with Josh Jacobs, I don't want to say that. I guess some quotes that he had like a bad game, but I felt like he was very underutilized. Like you said, coming in, you're thinking he's going to go off, but he came in and he wasn't really used a whole lot. He wasn't the focal point like I thought he should be. And second, of course, with DC, very underrated. I think a couple weeks ago he was officially the Raider, I guess the most snaps, right? The most starts by a Raiders quarterback in the history of the Raiders, and now it's the most touchdowns in the history of the Raiders. So obviously it's a quarterback in a very crucial and critical and concerning time, I guess. A lot of people are going to complain, but in the same breath, I don't think we don't fully understand who we have, what we have. We're not, truly grateful, I think, enough for him. But I do agree. In the pocket, I made the note earlier. I felt like, hey, if you're moving around in the pocket, get 2 hands on the ball. Let's work on ball security in the pocket. And I think that's something now I think it's going to click in his head to emphasize. And I'm interested to see how that improves. Paul Guenther, man, I can't say anything else really about him. I just, you just got to wait for that time, I think, to kind of just pull the plug because it's not working for me, man. But I appreciate the call, bro. Was good stuff. You said you were calling from San Jose?
Of course. Yeah, I'm calling from San Jose. By the way, you guys should check out my YouTube channel, Ash Raider.
There we go.
Working on 300 subs now, so yeah, Ash Raider.
Ooh, Ash Raider.
One of the best on here.
Good stuff, man.
Cody. And congrats. I know you're not there yet, but congrats on 10,000 subs.
Hey, I'm hoping I'm going to be there in just a little bit. We'll see how this show goes. But Ash Raider, make sure you guys subscribe. Get him over 300.
So I just want to give you an early congrats, man. You're doing a lot of good stuff, man, on this channel, man. I
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, man. Keep calling in, man. We'll talk soon.
Of course, man. All right, go Raiders.
See ya. Caller number 2. Caller number 1, that was an extended call, very long. But caller number 2, where are you calling from, man? What's going on?
Hi, this is Ivan, and I'm calling from Winston, California, the 209.
There you go. What's going on, Ivan? I think I talked to you, was it last week or the week before?
I think it was after the very first game. So
there we go.
2-3 weeks ago.
Week
Yeah,
one.
'cause you went to
Ivan.
Vegas the following week. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Ivan, what are your thoughts, man? We're 2-2. What are your thoughts after this Bills loss?
I mean, I hate to say it, Cody. I've been a Raiders fan since the late '90s, and I got to say, it's just the same old Raiders, man. We've had 4 winning seasons since then, and I mean, no matter what, from what I've seen, as a lifelong fan that I've been watching football, is just with this. No matter what defensive coordinator we have, what big name players we have, or who we draft, the defense is always mediocre or just terrible.
Yeah. It's just whatever it is. Even like last year, there was a time where the defense, it's almost like what it was now, susceptible. It was giving it big plays. But the offense was able to put up points and kind of keep us in games. We're 6-4 at one point. And then by the end of the year, it's like the team just, I don't even know, that they weren't syncing. The offense, the defense, they couldn't get on the same page. Why can't we have a full 53 that's on the same page, playing well, that seems to be well-groomed, well-coached, well-prepared for a game like, kind of like we were a little bit against the Saints. But even then, I mean, there were shaky times. Why can't we get something where we get out there and we feel like, hey, the product on the field right now is the real deal? It can really go the distance over weeks at a time. That's what I'm glad you bring up that topic, because, I feel the same way. At what point do we say, why are we still the same football team that we've been watching all of our life?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I want to be optimistic about the team, especially going up against the Chiefs this weekend. But I mean, honestly, I think we're going to get blown out. If they're letting these past teams that we played up against put all these huge numbers against our defense, I mean, we're going to go up against, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, and et cetera. So I say just pull the plug after this game on Paul Gunther. Throw in Rod Marinelli. I know the D-line's been underperforming, but at least, hey, give them, this week and then the bye week after this game, so the players get someone consistent with whatever scheme he wants to throw in. Because, I mean, it can't get any worse than the numbers that the defense has been putting out there right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think at some point you got to pull the plug early in the season, give us a chance to regroup, whether that's now or, like Eddie said, maybe in the bye week. Give us that breath of fresh air and be ready to go. But, Ivan, appreciate you calling in for the second time, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future, man.
All right, appreciate you putting in the time and doing this podcast, and, hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, take care.
I just missed like 3 callers in a row, but that's okay. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Keep dropping your questions. The chat obviously is still very active. 2-2, guys. I'm a guy that always sees glass half full. As the game is wearing off, I get it. Rough game, but there's a lot of things we need to clean up. Injuries, penalties, and hopefully find a way to game plan a little bit better. Here's third caller, one of our last callers. I might take a couple more. We'll see. State your name, man. Where are you listening from? What's going on?
Hey, this is Colton from Dallas.
Hey, we talked last week. What's going on, man?
Yeah, man. Here's kind of my quick synopsis of the game, or I guess how I'm feeling up the game. It's just like a quick, just completely just deflated, and they keep teasing us, especially when we are moving the ball, and then of course obviously, got a fumble there, and the big play that I feel like it hasn't been talked about yet, because I feel like we've been beating a dead horse, and I'm on that train of the Paul Gunther thing, but I want to try to switch it up a little bit. And the big play that I think really kind of put the nail in the coffin is the penalty, or quote unquote penalty, of Josh Jacobs lowering his shoulder that automatically turned into his head somehow. And then even the roughing the passer was like, okay, like, sure. It just, to me, completely just, I don't know. I was so deflated after that. Because we were moving, there was a lot of time. We had timeouts. Again, not to just ramble, but for me, I mean, again, I'm with the whole Gunther thing. It's just like, win, lose, or draw, we're probably getting rid of him just so, because the bye week we have time to implement whatever we need to do. So that's my quick thought on that. But again, for me, the biggest play was the Josh Jacobs, quote unquote, lowering of the, his shoulder/head.
Yeah, between turnovers and between like you're saying, those couple like key penalties, and not just like little penalties, they're like major penalties. So Colton, I appreciate you calling in again. 2 in a row. Let's see if we can do 3 in a row next week, man. But I'm gonna take this one last caller, and we'll talk soon, man.
Cool, man. Thanks.
All right, so the last caller I'm gonna take here, it's a 559 number. State your name, man. Where are you calling from?
559, Raider Cody, what up, man? It's Danny from Fresno.
Fresno, that's where we're at, man. Danny, I want to tell you something. We are planning right now, depending on how it goes, but one of the final games, I would say sometime in December, we might do a Thursday night game, the Chargers game, a primetime game, or maybe just a Sunday game in the afternoon. We'll see, but I'm planning another watch party like I do in Vegas. I'll be doing another one. I'll say it now. I'm doing another watch party in Vegas. The Chiefs game, November 22nd. Which is the Sunday night football game in Vegas, home game, and then we're going to plan one in Fresno, a Fresno one.
Okay.
Maybe with Doghouse Grill. I've been in talks with a few people over there in Fresno. We're going to see what's going on. So Danny from Fresno better be there, man. What's going on?
Oh, bro, you already know. Man, die hard. Oh, bro, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And I'm a tight team, bro.
Cutting out on me.
No, even bro, to the O-line, wide receivers, we had the ability to win this game. And even with the defense, bro, like everybody wants to talk crap about the defense, but check it out, man. We were in the game in the first half. It was only 7. You know what I mean? We were only down by 1 score, and we got the ball at the second half. And we were in it in the second half as well, man. They held that team to 13 points in the second half. Everybody was talking about, this offensive freaking juggernaut in the Bills is going to come in and steamroll the Raiders. That didn't happen. Not at all. We beat ourselves today because of offensive execution and turnovers. Okay, so and this is second week in a row, man. And check it out, the defense last week, man. We looked good in the first half too. I'm still on that. Like we had how many 3-and-outs against the Patriots? They were looking okay. So I mean, we're not going to be the best defense. I say that every week. We're not going to be the best defense, but the offense needs to execute, and they need to capitalize on the times that we get the ball. We need to score points. Going 3 field goals in a row was not the way to start the game, man. It was not the way to start the game, and I was really disappointed in that. One thing, I took notes, bro. Okay, Jacobs for sure underused. One play called pass. The one play call that was a pass to him right out of the backfield. That got called back by some BS penalty, right? Leading with the helmet. That was so bad, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
We would have had that play. That play was like 15 yards plus a 15-yard penalty, roughing the passer. We would have been going into end zone with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We would have had a chance. So that was annoying. Okay, and then you can't keep calling runs on first down in the stacked boxes, bro. Every first down, when I saw us get the first down, I'm like, they're gonna call run, and look at all those guys in the box ready for Jacobs, bro. And every first down, what happened? 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8. We're not gonna be positive after that. You know what I'm saying? So that was that. The defense, like I said, one thing, Waller, where the heck was he at? Not saying he wasn't open, but why wasn't he more involved in the play in the offensive game plan? Like I don't get it. Like
I agree.
Who on the Bills defense was going to cover him? Who?
Yeah.
Josh Norman? No.
I agree.
Nobody was going to cover him. Like he could have been having a field day, bro. I said this over and over watching the game. We got too cute. Too cute.
Yeah.
Okay. The defense actually did okay, in my opinion. Like I said, everybody had the Bills coming in and steamrolling us, but you know what? They held them to 17 points in the first half and 13 points in the second. That's good enough for us. We should be scoring 30-plus every game with our offense, no matter what. We should be scoring 30-plus every game. Okay? There's a way to do it. We could have did it. Okay, like I said, Abrams, baller. Abrams did great today. He made up for like his problems he had with filling in his gaps last week. He made it up for it today. He did well. Mullins, baller too. Harris, I don't know about Harris, man. I'm having second thoughts. At the beginning of the season, I thought, okay, they got faith in him. He's going to make some plays. But now I'm thinking, like, who was that safety that we let go? We probably shouldn't have let him go, to be honest. Could have gave him a shot. You know what I mean? We didn't have a preseason, so we really didn't see how that was going to pan out. Aguilar needs more targets. I mean, look at that one bomb that Derek Carr threw that got called back.
Yeah,
another BS
that was
penalty.
Beautiful pass.
That was, oh my God! Like, who cares about the formation, bro? It's a touchdown.
I know. Such a chinsy penalty.
It And so it had
Yeah.
bearing on the play. Like they gave us no advantage. It was formation, like for real. You could look past that. Like seriously, to all the holding calls that passed on us, like our D line was getting held all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we can go up for days. Then full could have been used a little bit more too. But at the end of the day, I'm not a coach, but I'm just a diehard Raider fan who's heartbroken because I saw a game that we definitely could have had and we didn't. So.
I agree. Danny from Fresno, man. I appreciate you calling, man. Appreciate talking to you every single time because I know you're one of the OG callers that always call during the podcast too. So I'm sure, bro, tough loss, 2-2. There's still a chance to look up and turn this thing around. Obviously, we're only quarter way through the season. There's plenty of times, just like we were against the Saints. We flipped it around. We can get things going. There's some positives there. There's things that are looking good if we can get healthy, get through the bye week, and see what we can turn the rest of the season into. But Danny, man, I'm sure we'll talk again soon, man.
Yes, sir. No doubt. Raider Nation, looking forward to that watch party at the Doghouse. Hopefully that happens.
Let's go. There's a few places, man, but Doghouse right now I think is leading. I talked to the dude about a week ago, and we'll see what happens, man. We'll keep you in touch.
There you go, bro. All right, man. Talk to you later, buddy.
See you, man. There it is. Okay, final caller. Shout out again to Stage Door Casino, the Stage Door Casino hotline coming in clutch for us with the callers, with the guests, with everything going on. And, of course, every time we make our trip to Las Vegas. So whenever you guys are there, home game, away game, whether you can go to the game or not go to the game, you go to Stage Door Casino, and that is the unofficial, like I said, this is me saying it, the unofficial spot for Raider Nation. For me, it's my official spot to go to and watch the game. You will always see me. Every time you hear about me being in Las Vegas, I will be at Stage Door Casino because that's where I feel the most at home. Oh, man. Raider Nation. What else is there to say? That's it. 2-2. It's where we're at. We're a 500 team as it stands, and it's not about how you get knocked down. It's about how you get back up, and we're going to see what we can do. We're going to see what we can turn the season into, but obviously there's a lot of corrections we need to make. Ball security is one of them. Getting after the quarterback's another one of them. Being able to create turnovers is another one of them. Special teams getting a little bit more cleaned up, right? I don't want to see a ball getting returned to the 15-yard line. Let's see what we can do. So, Raider Nation, I appreciate you guys jumping on. If you haven't already, subscribe. Subscribe right now. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. I can maybe check where I'm at right now, but we're at 10K. There it is. We're at 10K subscribers. So, shout out. Appreciate that. It feels good to hit the goal. 10,000 subscribers is huge. Feels great. But bigger than that, let's get a win next week. Big game. Not the way we want to go into it, but big game. So if you haven't already, leave a 5-star rating and review on the podcast version of the podcast. And I'll be seeing you midweek whenever we preview our matchup versus the Chiefs. So, peace.